Hey guys, I hope you have time to watch some good movies because I have 6 great recommendations for you. These are absolute classics of Czechoslovak cinema. They were all made before 1989, in times of socialism and also a time when we were still one country together with our Slovak brothers. The movies are not listed in any particular order. The original language of all the movies in the list is Czech. First movie on our list is Vesničko středisková from the year 1985. In English, the title is My Sweet Little Village, and it is a brilliant comedy that takes place, as the title suggests, in a little village. And the main plot line, there are many plot lines, but the main story is about a relationship between an older truck driver and his younger helper, who is a little bit mentally deficient, a little bit too naive and good-hearted. And the movie is full of really funny situations, but it's not only that. It really ticks all the boxes that a good comedy should. There's a little bit of slapstick, but very little of that. Most of the humor is quite intelligent, and it also really nicely depicts the relationships between people living in one little village and like these typical problems that they have. Of course, it happens during socialist times, but you don't feel the influence of that era, at least not too much. There is not an ideological component to that, so that's really cool, because you cannot say that about all the movies from that time, of course. So if you have an appetite for a really good comedy that is not a parody and it's a little bit bittersweet, I think this is a great call. Number 2 on our list is a completely different movie, and it is Spalovač mrtvol from 1968. In English, the title is The Cremator. If you want to call this movie a comedy, I don't know what kind of sense of humor you have. It is not funny. At least for me, there was nothing funny about this movie. It's dark, it's scary, and it's creepy, but definitely not funny. I mean, I guess there are moments that you could call really dark humor, but I never thought of it like that. It's basically a psychological horror, and it takes place during the Nazi occupation. The main character, Mr. Kopfkingel, is a definition of creepy. He is this sweet-talking, beauty-admiring pervert that talks about art, but his moral code, moral compass is completely distorted and perverted. He becomes possessed by not only by the Nazi ideology, but also by this weird messianic psychosis. I don't know, it's a tough watch, but I would definitely recommend it. So if you are in for something creepy and not that easy to characterize, Spalovač mrtvol is a treat. Back to something much more optimistic and positive and also kids friendly, and it is fairy tale movie Czerty, nejsou, žerty from the year 1984. The English title is Give the Devil His Due. It's a really nice story of Petr Machal, who's a miller's son, who gets into a conflict with his evil stepmother, who wants to get rid of him because of inheritance, and she plots against Petr, and she gets him conscripted into the army, where he meets a devil. They become friends, and they together try to right wrongs and bring justice to people who deserve that. The story of this fairy tale is really not stupid, and it's quite satisfying when the people who deserve to be punished get punished. I don't know if you have that, but I really enjoy that in movies. and in reality, of course, too. The devils here are not portrayed as some monsters, but they are very human-like. Even the devil, the main guy, is this charismatic, a little bit frightening figure who is fair. If you enjoy sympathetic characters, a little bit of romance, magic, mythology, if you can call it that, a little bit of crime and punishment wrapped up in nice fairy tale atmosphere, this one is exactly what you're looking for. If number one was a good, intelligent comedy, then number four is a fun ride. It is a parody par excellence. The name is Limonádový Joe aneb koňská opera from 1964. The English title is Lemonade Joe. As you might have noticed, in Czech it's really pronounced Joe, which is really a joke, because you know that you should read it Joe, but you really read it like a Czech person would, Joe. Now, it is a Western parody, so you get all the tropes that you would expect in a proper Western. However, of course, they are brought to the extreme. The main character, this squeaky clean, sharp shooting, a perfection of a man, befriends Ezra Goodman and his beautiful daughter Winifred. There is the bad guy whose name is actually Doug Badman, and his brother Horace, called Hogofogo. He's the baddest criminal of the Wild West. There is so much humor, there are so many jokes, like each scene is a joke. If you want to see a proper Western parody full of gunslingers and Wild West criminals, romance, witty dialogues, huge amount of puns and playing with language and words, I think Limonádový Joe might be the best Western parody ever made. I mean, we all enjoyed Blazing Saddles, but Limonádový Joe has a special place in my heart, and once you see it, I'm sure you will say exactly the same. Film number 5 will take us back to the dark territory of horror movies. This time it's a gothic horror adaptation of Beauty and the Beast. Panna and netvor is a movie from 1978, and its English title is Beauty and the Beast. This version of Beauty and the Beast is very different from the classic Disney adaptation. It's not cheerful at all, it's very dark. It has this heavy, depressing atmosphere, but also it's beautiful. The gothic imagery is amazing. Also, the monster looks really frightening, but at the same time, it's still the same story. It's still the same fairy tale. There's this merchant who is basically blackmailed by the beast into sending one of his daughters to the castle, and the youngest daughter sacrifices herself for the father and goes there. And of course, there's this romantic relationship between the young, beautiful merchant's daughter and the beast. As I said, it's still the same fairy tale, but I would not recommend it to kids. I remember myself watching it as a kid, and I had nightmares. Those scary masks and this ubiquitous darkness and heaviness might be a little bit too much for a kid to appreciate, but when you watch it as an adult, you can see the beauty in this dark, heavy atmosphere. So if you want to watch a dark but beautiful gothic horror fairy tale, look no further. The last movie on our list, number 6, is a proper science fiction, and it is Ikarie XB-1. In English, that would be Ikarie XB-1. It's a movie from 1963, and it is a story of a crew of a spaceship going through space towards Alpha Centauri. It takes place in 2163. the crew, of course, encounters some problems, some mortal threats on their journey, and they have to face things that they don't understand. Of course, it's an old movie, so some of those days' ideas of future technologies might seem a little bit naive, but it doesn't take away anything from how revolutionary was the movie at the time of its making, and also how enjoyable it is still now when you watch it after so many years. Interestingly, none of the movies that we have talked about in this video were somehow significantly affected by the ideology of the time when they were made. And it's also the case of Ikarie XB-1. However, there is a situation where they make clear that the society has moved on towards communism. And so they are somehow similar to Star Trek society, maybe? If you want to go where no man has gone before and see how the filmmakers in the 60s envisioned the technologies of future, go and watch Ikarie XB-1, you will not be disappointed. Alright, that was the last movie on our list for today. If you have seen any of those movies already, let me know what you think about them. And also, I'd love to get some recommendations for movies for the next video of this kind. If you like this video, like it and subscribe. It helps me stay motivated to keep working on this channel. Have a great day. I'll see you in the next video.